back to Liquid Lunch. It's me, Hugh, and we got Mohamed Kandri joining us here, the CEO of Fast Access Blockchain, right? And
Correct.
We asked Ahmed to stay on because we just had a conversation about EOS, and both EOS and Fast Access Blockchain, I guess, are third generation, unless, Mohamed, you want to say it's a fourth generation of blockchain.
Well, I guess there is no standard in terms of classification of blockchain, but we could say it's a third generation blockchain.
Yeah, okay.
Because I guess most of people, or the majority of the community agree that Bitcoin was the first world blockchain 1.0, Ethereum and the like implementing smart contracts, they were blockchain 2.0. And right now, EOS, Fab, or other platforms are looking into breaking through some of the technology challenges that Ethereum and Bitcoin face are kind of blockchain 3.0.
Right. And we just talked about some of those limitations that EOS was trying to address. Mm-hmm. And maybe you can articulate what some of those limitations are that Fast Access Blockchain is looking to address as well.
Yeah, sure. So basically our platform came about from a need. So our founder, Paul Liu, he's a technology business man who were looking into putting supply chain projects on top of blockchain 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. And he faced the challenge of what we call right now the scalability. So for me, when we talk about scalability, we are talking about different aspects. The most important aspect is the transaction per second. So right now, for example, Bitcoin, I think on average it can process 7 transactions per second, Ethereum 15 transactions per second. So this is one of the challenges we are looking into solving. Again, there are different aspects of scalability. So in addition of transaction per second, we can also talk about latency, the network latency, mm-hmm. The data storage. So I think there are different types of projects looking into solving this problem, including the traditional platform like Ethereum, through Plasma and the different projects going on right now by the Ethereum Foundation. I think ours is more looking into revamping the architecture of a blockchain in order to achieve this type of scalability that can suit enterprise needs.
Okay, so you're actually looking at kind of redesigning the blockchain kind of from the ground up?
Yes, correct.
To meet some scalability issues, right?
Correct. So we're looking into achieving 1 million transactions per second. Okay. And this is by having different components interacting with each other. So we have the foundation blockchain, which is the root ledger. On top of that, we are building an exchange. So you can think of an exchange for supply chain management, an exchange for finance, an exchange for healthcare. The communication between the exchange and the foundation chain are managed by a different components called SCAR, which is the Smart Contract Agent Router, and the account balances are managed by another different components, which is Kanban. So all these pieces are working together and integrating together in order to achieve this type of scalability. And in addition to that, in order to make implementing enterprise solutions on top of blockchain easier. Because one of the things I think that we should emphasize on, and it's like the internet. So when you talk about the internet, it's not like the website that you go on to use in your browser, but the internet is the infrastructure. Mm-hmm. But on top of the infrastructure of the internet, we have built unified protocol like HTTP, FTP, mm-hmm. etc. So we are taking blockchain to this level by also building on top of our infrastructure, blockchain infrastructure, a unified protocol to manage value, to manage trust, to manage organization. And on top of these two layers, we are building a marketplace first of all, to generate value for blockchain developers, and also to reduce time to market. For example, if you're an enterprise and you're looking for a blockchain application to manage identity, and somebody else have already developed the platform, so why reinventing the wheel? So you can just use a kind of a blockchain app store and utilize the applications that are already out there that have been developed by developers in this space.
So it sounds like you're sort of creating an open source type of environment where developers can add their apps or mini apps or code to that repository that other people can make use of.
Yes, correct. So we are not just another blockchain platform, but we are looking into creating an ecosystem. And this is the reason why we have made the announcement recently of restructuring our operation into 3 lines of business. The Fab technology to develop the platform. We'll be also launching a Fab venture, which is a $5 million fund to encourage and promote blockchain startups in the space, and also focusing on research and academy. So just in-house, we spend lots of time doing R&D. Lastly, like for our Kanban module, so we have a team of developers that have been working diligently and tirelessly to come up and move these components into the implementation phase. So I'd like to congratulate the team from this stage on the amazing work that they have done. And so this is it. So again, like we are looking into fostering innovation in this space, and not only providing another technology solution.
Okay. Mohamed, do you have any thoughts or questions after hearing all that?
Yeah, it seems like you guys are really pushing the envelope of what blockchains now are facing, like the problems that we're facing right now in the blockchains that we're developing on. I feel like my question to you actually, as a decentralized application program developer, how would I get started on your platform? What resources would you have available to like the development community to get started, to jump in and work with your platform?
Yeah, sure. So again, like we talked to a lot of developers out there, and I think one of the challenges again in the blockchain space is documentation. So oftentimes we hear that people want to learn, for example, Solidity, but there is not enough documentation out there, or it's unclear for somebody who want to just start a beginner. So we have actually a website encompassing all our softwares, documentation, functions within the system. So I would say it's a good start for any developers who want to learn more about the platform and how they can build application on top of that. Our mainnet was up and running since March this year. So our foundation blockchain is already operational. And again, like as a new open source project, our source code is on GitHub. So people can go and look into the source code, contribute if they have any ideas, if they want to contribute code as well. So it's something we encourage. Again, we want to keep the spirit of decentralization. And when we talk about decentralization, it's not only decentralization of value, but also decentralization of knowledge. And then this type of collaborative intelligence and collaborative effort, again, to your point, not just to improve our platform, but to improve the ecosystem as a whole.
Follow-up question. How did you handle the scalability issue? What was your, innovation to get to 2 million transactions or 1 million transactions a second?
Well, so at this point, we haven't achieved the 1 million transactions per second yet. It's our goal, and once the platform is fully all the components are fully developed. Again, our main innovation is our architecture. So a simple example, if you think about, for example, Ethereum, it's a kind of a one-way highway where we have all the applications running on the same network. So at some point you will have congestion. Our platform, you can think of it as a multi-lanes highway where for each lane you have specific application. So by doing that, you're alleviating the burden from the foundation blockchain. We are using technologies like sharding, aggregated signature, to increase also the number of transactions per second that the network can handle.
Now, one of the things we just talked about with Ahmed prior to this was that on the EOS blockchain, programmers can program on that blockchain using coding languages that were used prior to blockchain technology, like C++ and different languages. So EOS is able to take advantage of those existing or pre-existing ecosystems of programming knowledge. How does that work with fast access blockchain? Do you have to work with Solidity, or what kind of coding can people do?
Yes, well, definitely, it's something that we are considering. This programming language like C++ or Java have been around for decades, and I don't think it's fair for existing developers to say, hey, you know what, just forget about what you have learned in the past, and you need to learn a new programming language if you want to get into blockchain. So at first, we are supporting Solidity for sure, because it's a programming language that have been used for smart contract for a while now, but definitely it's something we are considering into making our platform compatible with other programming language to make sure that we are increasing our developer user base and making sure of being an inclusive platform that's welcome any type of skill set in terms of development. And I think I'm glad that EOS and other platforms like Cosmos here in Toronto are looking into that, and I think it's something that we should keep in mind as a solution developers. At the end of the day, just to make it easier for developers to build application, and by making it easier for developers to build application on top of blockchain, we kind of grow the ecosystem and unleash this opportunities and potential of blockchain and decentralized applications.
Okay. Now, you mentioned before, I think just before we came on, that that you guys are not really trying to compete with other blockchains.
Yep.
And that you envision a world where there's going to be lots of different blockchains that will, coexist alongside each other in a, in a meta environment or whatever. I mean, but my question is, because we're seeing, if you call Ethereum a second generation blockchain, and fast access and EOS, for example, is third generation. It just seems there's so much innovation in the space that somebody even Ethereum just all of a sudden now there's a whole new generation of blockchains that kind of might seem like they could potentially make Ethereum irrelevant or obsolete. I mean, what are you guys doing differently than anyone else that is going to give fast access blockchain kind of longevity and relevance, as we move very rapidly into the future?
Yes, I mean, we are using simple business rules. First of all, we listen to our customers, to our users. So along the line, we have been talking to different enterprises, and actually we have signed over 15 partnership agreements with blockchains projects that want to build on top of our fast access blockchain. So we are taking a kind of a proactive approach to make sure that we are building the right product for the right user, and we are building a solution that people will actually use it. Which I guess it wasn't the case when Ethereum, for example, came about. Like the number of applications that were thought about in the past were not at the scale or were not at the kind of type of requirements that the app we are looking at today. So I think we have this kind of leading edge that we know what the market wants, and I mean Also, we have a very experienced team right here in Markham, so we are proudly Canadian, and it's something that we emphasize on. We emphasize on open communication even within the team, and we are not stuck with one type of solution. So this makes sure that our platform is evolving as the ecosystem is evolving as well.
So what I'm hearing there is that you're really listening to potential business users.
Yes, correct.
And taking that information, and that's informing how you go about building the blockchain and rolling it out.
Yes, definitely, and also like academia. So we have been meeting with the different research lab around the world, in Canada, US, and Europe. And as I mentioned, like we have middleware framework which are kind of a unified protocol. Last week I had the chance to meet with Professor Wei Dong from University of Michigan, and we have discussed the potentiality of developing a unified protocol, for example, for autonomous vehicle to utilize blockchain technology.
Hopefully an autonomous vehicle that the New World Order won't be able to blow up whenever they want because it's on a transparent, decentralized blockchain.
Correct,
right?
Because when you are talking about autonomous vehicle is a set of different technology, including wireless communication, and you need to make sure that the information that is sent, for example, to autonomous car is accurate, it has not been tampered with, which is very important to security.
Right, okay. Mohamed, do you have any more questions or thoughts? Or?
Just one technical question, like as a programmer that's going to be using your blockchain potentially, like is it am I expected to work in like a proof of stake environment where I stake the tokens, the Fab platform token, or is it more of like a gasoline based, like Ethereum based proof of work, and every time there's a transaction that you would spend your token on and conduct a transaction? Can you just talk a little bit more about how the transactions work and how do you cost them? How do you limit the spam on the network? How do you control I guess prevent spam or hackers to take over the whole network?
Well, sure. Again, like most of the transactions are managed within the Annex chain, and within the Annex chain, like enterprise can have the choice and master and have a better control on their business rules. So for the communication between the Annex chain and the foundation blockchain, basically we are using our native token. Right now, our foundation blockchain is using the proof of work consensus algorithm. As the platform grows, we are working on our own consensus algorithm called proof of production. It's still in the design phase, so I don't have much information on that, but we are definitely looking into improving the way we manage smart contracts and the gas model, and especially like the economic gas model, because right now is based on incentivizing the miners, which is not a bad idea. But for some critical enterprise use cases, for example, healthcare, if you have what we call like a gas price war, now we are compromising this type of application that is based on urgency. So it's something that we have in mind, and also I'm personally working with some of our developers in-house to review and look in depth at the gas economic model and look at the ways we can make it better and suit enterprise applications.
So it's the N exchange. Each N exchange is like sort of like a side chain, and it would represent a company's or like a decentralized application chain. So every application would essentially have its own blockchain, and that's how you can.
Correct.
I understand.
Correct.
And then there would be inter-block communication through the main the mother chain. What did you call it?
The root ledger.
The root ledger.
Foundation blockchain, which is the root ledger. And by doing this, we are also solving the interoperability issue, because each Annex chain can communicate with the other Annex chain on the network.
Okay, so the blockchain is up and running. At least.
Foundation, Fab Explorer.info. So it's our Explorer. You can People can go and check it out.
And how can people get involved? There must be a number of different ways. Can people start to program? Can people buy tokens? Because you do have the FabCoin token. Do you want to just talk about different ways that people can get involved in the project? Or
Yes, well, definitely. So we are open. We present the project in different events around the world here, in Canada, the U.S., Europe, and Asia. The best way to get in touch with us is to visit our website, and also we have several channels that people can join, including Telegram, Twitter, LinkedIn. And as I mentioned, we have a specific website with our documentation for people who want to go in depth into the platform and learn how to use it.
I know the white paper is available, for example. For
Yes,
people to download.
yeah, absolutely. So we have the white paper up and available on our website. People can take a look, and we welcome any feedback or any contribution. Feel free to reach out to me via email or LinkedIn, etc. So I'll be happy to hear any feedbacks, or if you have any project that you think we can help with, I'll be happy to meet and hear about the project as well.
In other words, business people out there with business problems they'd like to solve with blockchain,
Yes.
you're open to speaking with them.
Correct.
And
I spend most of my time talking to project owners. We have one of probably the most exciting application. To mention, we are working right now on an arts project to put artwork on the blockchain, reduce arts forgery and secure provenance. And we are working with some of the amazing people in this space here in Toronto. So we are very proud of that.
Very cool. So is that the website, fabcoin.co?
Correct.
So people can get started there. Mohamed, any final questions or comments for Mo?
No, I'm excited for you guys. You guys are really at the head of the race with the third generation blockchain, and you seem, Mo, like you know a lot about technology itself, and you guys are experimenting with a lot of different concepts. I'm excited to see how Fab platform develops.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, I joined the project because I believe in this technology. So I was very fascinated by the unique architecture that our founder Paul came up with. So I'm very fortunate to be working with such a knowledgeable team. Also, that I learn every day from my colleagues.
And you're right also about that there isn't going to be one blockchain to rule them all.
Correct.
There's going to be so many different niches, such as healthcare.
Yeah.
And healthcare is very geographic centric. Like, you
Yeah.
can't have healthcare data outside of Canada, for instance, and other countries would have to abide by that. And that
Yeah.
makes hosting patient data on the blockchain impossible, because you'd be violating the Patient Health Policy Act. So having like a side chain that's devoted to the Canadian health system can help solve that. So I think you guys are you're on the right track, that there's going to be a lot of niche markets in the blockchain.
Well, absolutely, and I think it's like we are saying that we will have one bank that will cover the entire planet, which is impossible.
Okay. Well, Mohamed, thanks for coming in. Tell
Thank
us
you for
about
having me
this.
today.
And hopefully we can continue and hear more about the
Absolutely.
project as it develops.
Yeah, pleasure being here today.
Okay, great. All right. And thanks, Mohamed, for staying on for this.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, we're going to take a little break. We got more coming up here on Liquid Lunch, so stay tuned. We'll be right back. Thatchannel.com.